Hello, I am very excited to start digging into our also webinar line. So we have the also webinar line set up, and to make sure that we're all using it in the in a clear, orderly fashion, since it is going to be shared. I'm going to start with that. We're going to do take two here in a second. 3, 2, 1. Hello. In this video, we are going to take a look at the Also webinar line. Now, the Also webinar line is going to be shared by the underserved and CY and STOP teams. Currently, we should be able to handle all of our webinar needs in one account, but we will add the webinar feature to other accounts if it's necessary. So the main thing you're going to see when you get into this account, obviously the username and password will be in your passwords document, so all three teams will have access to it. Once you get in here, you're going to see it looks just like your regular account, your regular team account. The main difference is that we do have the webinar feature unlocked. So in this first video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at webinar templates and understand how those work and why we need to use them. And then we'll follow up with some of the other features in other videos. So we're going to take a look into the webinar templates right now. So when you go into the webinar section, you're going to see that there's 3 tabs, the third one being webinar templates. I've already created webinar templates for each team. Now, these are customizable. You can change them however you like, but there are some pieces that I put in that absolutely need to stay there, and I'll cover that when we dig in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go in and take a look at the underserved webinar template. And I'll show you some of the stuff that's in here. So first of all, it's called the underserved webinar template, so you know that you're in the right template. You can, the only things that I changed from the default settings, there's only one that you can actually see here, and that is enabling the practice session. So it's going to be really important that we practice ahead of time so we can, practice with our hosts, practice with our interpreters, and make sure that we understand how to host the event and keep it running smoothly once you're actually running the event. So by enabling practice session, it allows you to open up this webinar at any time and practice. And we'll talk about how we're going to schedule that later, because that's really important too, since 3 teams are using this. All right, so that's the only thing that I changed from the default setting, is that every time when you use a template, it's going to enable the practice session. Now, any of these things can be changed, and I want to show you how we would do that. So if we just click edit this webinar template right here, you'll see that now we can turn any of these things on or off. Now, one thing you couldn't see on that first page is the registration. By default, I have it set to be required. That would mean that if people are going to come to this, or you're going to attend this meeting, that they would have to register first. So you have to send the registration link out to everybody, which again we'll cover in another video. So that's the only thing I changed, but there are other options, again, similar to the meeting feature, where you can change the default setting for video. Would be, your host and your panelists, when they join in, they have to turn their camera on before you can see them. This is good practice because sometimes, we sit down and we're not quite ready to be seen, but we want to let everybody know that we are there. So I always like to leave this off. And then in terms of the audio settings, it's always best to leave it on both, because that gives the users more opportunities for how they want to call in. If they're not able to get to a computer, or they don't have an internet connection, they can call in through the phone. This also saves on bandwidth, so they can see the video on their computer, which is using their bandwidth, but then they're listening to the audio through their telephone, so that they're not using internet, they're just using their phone line. Again, these webinar options are all toggleable on and off. You just click it, and then when you're done with all the changes, click Save. One big thing I do want to point out is this is where you turn on the language interpretation. By default, it's turned off. but I believe most of you are going to be using this. When you do toggle it on, you're going to see that it allows you then to invite the person that you want to be the interpreter. And then you just choose the language that they're going to be speaking. So if they're going from English to Spanish, you do that. You can add multiple interpreters. I don't know too much of how that works yet. We'll continue testing with that, but I definitely have seen that when you want the Spanish language translation, all you need is this one line. So I'll turn that off for now, and I'm going to save that template, and nothing has been changed. So the next piece of the template that is really, really important is going to be these sections down here. So the email settings is absolutely crucial. So I did change this, and what you'll see is that in each templates, your email is there. So the email contact is going to be the name of your team and then your email, your team email. This is really, really important because if you don't use the template and you don't change this part, then by default, the email contact is going to be also web and then also web at alsochicago.org. So if people have questions, the email they'll be given to ask questions to will be incorrect, and you won't know that people trying to attend your seminar had questions. So it's really, really important that you use your template because the email is there. So that's going to be really important. Within these email settings, you can also customize what the invitation email is going to look like. So you can go, sorry, maybe you can't. I thought you could. Here it is. I'm sorry. Here it is. Here's where you can change you can change the information. It's going to leave certain information in there, but like if you wanted to put a description of what the webinar is, this is where you would do it. So I believe this is all very similar to the meetings, but again, it's really important that this part here is changed. Otherwise, you're not going to hear anything back from your registrants. Yeah, so you want to know about that. So then you can also, another cool thing that I found in here is your branding. So if you want any kind of branding this is for the invitations and the emails, you can actually upload a graphic, an image of your logo. And when the people receive your email, they'll see that logo instead of just blank space. You can also edit your polls and surveys ahead of time. Again, you don't necessarily want to do this in the template. You're going to want to do that actually in the meeting. So actually, I'm not going to dig too much further into this. So this is your template. Again, when you make changes here, it's going to save to the template. And then when you're ready to start a meeting, you can schedule one right from here with the template, or you can schedule it from the webinar tab, which we'll cover in our next video. So hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions about editing your templates, or there's anything in this video that turns out to be wrong because I missed a part of it, definitely let me know so I can update this and we can stay on the same page. So if you have any other questions or you need any support, definitely let me know. You can email me. And then be sure to check out all the cool videos at the AlsoTech Knowledge Base. All right, we'll see you soon.